Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Love is Blind podcast.
Hello, hello. Welcome. This is new episode 1.
Yes, my name is Andre,
And I am Allie.
and we are going to do a redo of our episode 1. We had initially assumed we are going to be watching these episodes along with our commentary, and then we had a technical snafu that resulted in us doing a summary of episode 2,
Yes. And then we realized that was way better.
yeah, that worked a lot better. So
We tried watching episode 1 as a watch along, and it turns out that's a little bit boring. So
yeah.
here you go.
So we're probably gonna leave that episode 1 up just, for the archives, as it
Right.
were.
So you know what we're talking about.
So
So we're relatable.
I mean, to be honest, if anybody's actually listening through every single one of those episodes, our intros are going to be increasingly confusing as we keep
Yeah.
saying things like, "Oh, next episode is going to be a watch along." Oh, no,
Right.
the next one's gonna be a summary.
Right. To all those hardcore fans.
All of those
know?
fans, yes.
Yeah, but if you're into Love is Blind, you're into surprises and inconsistencies. So our market is built in. But the impact of us going back and re-recording is that we have actually already seen through episode 4. And so I'm going to try my best to not give any spoilers.
Okay.
But it is something to be aware of as we watch through.
Yeah, this is gonna be a tricky time, and we're not going to imply anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, as best
As best as we can.
As
So
best you can.
we begin at season 5, episode 1, titled
So, you're a recent cheater? And the description is...
"Optimistic Singles from Houston settle into the pods, where some quickly bond over shared interests, while others rub their dates the wrong way."
Yes, which, first of all, I love that we're describing them as optimistic singles.
I believe you've mentioned that before.
Have I?
The sort of
Yeah.
the title, "So You're a Recent Cheater,"
Yeah.
immediately followed by "Optimistic Singles."
Right,
is,
there's a good juxtaposition going on there. But also just like, are they optimistic? I guess so. I guess they're on the show. Maybe they're jaded, though. And what's left but Love is Blind, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And we get introduced to this episode, as we get introduced to all of the seasons, with a look at a bunch of folks who we think we may never see again.
Right. Many of them are honestly, I don't remember ever having seen them.
I mean, there's always the possibility that we'll see them,
Yes.
in
Look at what an
end season.
optimistic podcaster you are.
You never
There's
know.
always the possibility.
Episode 10, one of them might come back. You find out that they were
That's
actually
true.
engaged and that they just didn't show that, because that's happened before. But,
Here we go.
we see early introductions like Stacy and JP, with JP his legs in the air.
And
We
his
see
American flag socks.
American flag socks. We see Uche and Maurice, potentially.
Yeah.
We see...
It's just a montage of very many dates. Some of them clearly rubbing each other the wrong way.
One of my favorites is when somebody asks, "What do you do for fun?" and the guy replies, "Fisherman," which is not a verb, but I love it. We have the small scene where
Wouldn't that
Ernesto...
be great if he gave like a totally reasonable answer and then they just edited it so it said fisherman?
So he just says fisherman.
What's your favorite color? Topanga.
Topanga.
You could do whatever. Yeah, this guy's marry, fuck, kill question, and everyone's like, "What are you talking
Pancakes or
about?"
waffles or French toast.
Have you ever had that like IRL, your like go-to first date question? I don't know that I have, but I think maybe I should.
I don't know if I have go-to questions, but that is...
It's a
We
move.
look at each other as though, yeah, we probably should have.
Should we have done this?
Should we have done that?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
I think we did fine. We see Ernesto, who burps and freaks out Stacy, apparently.
Yep.
And he says, "Well, at least it wasn't a fart." So I guess there's that.
Yeah, what an optimistic single. We're getting a real taste of Houston.
And we get the sort of early look at Lydia and a lot of sort of folks that, like I said, we either will see or may not see ever again.
Trying really hard not to give spoilers right now because obviously we know who the couples are, but at this time you wouldn't.
Right.
And here we go. Here's that moment. Now we're seeing the date with Lydia and Milton where they're connecting over rocks because they're both geologists. And Milton is like, you're the one for me.
Metamorphic faces and a polarizing microscope in his apartment. The hottest first date talk. Now, there's some that you don't need a question. What you need is some language like metamorphic faces.
and plenty of wine.
Ooh, hey, baby, I have a polarizing microscope in my bedroom.
Ooh, check out your microscope. Oh, my God, you're such a nerd. Collect samples. Yeah, I mean, I can understand how if I was like 24 years old, super nerdy, studied rocks, and I went on a date with somebody and they also studied rocks, I'd be willing to look the other way on a lot of things.
Definitely.
And here's now Lydia transitions to her date with Izzy, where she's feeling like it's fire.
Yes, definitely. And they seem to be connecting on a lot of things. I mean, Izzy, to be fair, in this first episode is pretty on fire. I mean, he's doing great as a first date with a lot of people, you know?
He's a great first date.
He does seem to be a great first date. I think he initially kind of rubbed me the wrong way because he was... I think I immediately, for some reason, maybe just because of the shape of his upper body, I kind of associated him with Valmir from Love is Blind Brazil, who is just like, seems like a ladies' man from the very beginning.
Judging a book by his cover.
I kind of was. I mean, to be, okay, we're not, no
spoilers. Will that book match the cover? Who knows?
We don't know.
Some might say maybe. But yeah, no, like Lydia's all in with Izzy. Izzy, though, is playing the field. And he's connecting with a lot of different people. I mean, I do not have the same response to seeing Izzy. I think he's an attractive guy. And he seems to be... Yeah, he's a funny, fun dude, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yes, you have mentioned that you are that Izzy is kind of more your type.
Izzy, I'm doing this whole podcast for you. Just fall in love with me. It's the whole thing. It's all a sham. I just want to be with Izzy. Yeah, no, that's not actually true. For the record,
Izzy is insecure about his hair. Is he? He is. He is insecure about his hair. So presumably on a show like Love is Blind, he's pretty excited to just have people fall in love with his personality, if that's something that he's truly, in fact, self-conscious about. I think, like, to your point, I think he's pretty attractive. So I don't think he's got too much to worry about from that perspective. And
there's bald guy solidarity, too. They all, like, recognize each other. You know?
We see Izzy and Stacy kind of hitting it off a little bit. They seem to be kind of having a good time.
Talking
and
about dancing.
Dancing, and how Stacy's kind of a fun person. And they, did a lot of, they're talking about darts and playing games. Yeah.
Some química sobre salsa.
Yeah, and I think immediately afterwards, the person that he meets next is Johnny. And Johnny, immediately kind of throws up some red flags in talking about how she has a bad track record when it comes to relationships, that she's been in not great relationships, that she's been in recent relationships, and both I think she also mentions like she's had a history of like dating people who have had substance abuse problems, and
I don't know if she does that right now. Maybe
I think she does. Yeah, she does mention she kind of speaks it in generics, but just says like that's something.
Oh, here we go. She says right now
that she's dated a lot of people with addiction issues.
I will say, I'm always noticing the fashion, right? Like there's a decent number of clear shoes that the ladies are wearing, and I don't recall that being a fashion trend in the past few years. And maybe I've just been asleep for this one.
I think the clear shoes are to make up for the opaque goblets.
Oh.
You can't see into our goblets, but you can see into our feet.
Yep. Ooh, for continuity though, she's got that can of LaCroix right by them. Will it be there? Will it be there in the next scene? This is great for a summary of the show. I hope you guys all vividly remember that can of LaCroix.
Oh yeah, the amount of...
I'm now seeing, so far it's been there.
Certainly through our first watch through of this episode, we're really paying attention to the brands that were on show.
Yes.
And just wondering how many of these were like, can we get a sponsorship? Just make sure to turn that label out a little bit. Just,
yeah. Like, I would love it if we were sponsored by LaCroix. I legitimately love LaCroix, although if Spindrift sponsored me, that'd be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Spindrift our sponsor? I don't.
Whichever, with bidding war, LaCroix and Spindrift, whichever one of you comes at us first, we will edit this episode to only praise your brand, and we'll really dog on the other brand too.
Totally, yeah. I mean, maybe that's our in, is that we just begin just shooting down one of the brands
Yes.
in the hopes that another brand picks us as their podcast.
LaCroix, the drink of losers.
Are we? Yes, the drink of swine. I don't know. I do have to say that ultimately the optimism that we have to think that we're going to have sponsors is pretty great.
We got a minute. We're optimistic podcasters. Here we go with Chris Fox and Johnny.
Yes. We go into Chris Fox and
Yes.
Johnny. And I immediately liked Chris Fox. I thought it was interesting how when he first introduced himself among the guys, he was like, based on my looks, everybody assumes I'm a playboy. And I looked at him and I was like, no. I kind of assumed you're like a nice theater guy.
Nice guy. Like maybe you know how to play clarinet or something.
I mean,
yeah.
He's a project manager.
Yep.
I've been there. Meanwhile, we learned that Johnny is a lawyer.
Mm-hmm. And everyone's very impressed.
Totally, yeah. Very, very impressed by it.
Yes.
You know that life.
I do, and I know that it's attainable.
Mm.
Kids, live your dreams. If you want to go to law school, you can. I feel like I'm ignoring very many things about privilege in that statement, but I'm an optimistic podcaster. Oh, he says right now, I'm really just optimistic.
Yeah. By the way, to everybody, I hope you know that we're essentially kind of scanning through the episode right now.
It might be
so
important.
when we're like shouting out, "This is what's on TV," is because we are in fact kind of browsing through the episode as we're doing this. So we're not just remembering these things and just shouting out like, and then he says this.
Right,
No,
I didn't remember that LaCroix can.
No, we are very much kind of just browsing through this. We're just not doing a complete watch through because that had a lot of blanks in it and just pauses.
Watch along adjacent.
Right.
Yes.
But
here's Milton bragging about the possibility of him being able to go hiking and get some samples.
Oh, and looking
what
under
else
that
could a man want in
polarizing
this
microscope.
world, man? Yeah, Milton's like such a mega nerd. I love it. Oh yeah, and now we're getting introduced to Taylor.
Right. Yeah, and there's a lot of, maybe it's me, but I feel like there's in this episode in particular, but maybe just the season in general, is the first time I recall a lot of age talk. People being like, I'm old or I'm young or whatever. They're kind of focusing on that in a lot of these interactions.
I don't remember that standing out to me. I know with Milton and Lydia, it was a thing.
But Taylor also just pointed it out a second ago. So it's interesting how they're talking about that. Stacy's still disturbed by the burp. And the guys are they're talking about we have Carter, who's just like, let's talk about fish. He's really into fish. Right. People are like saying that they don't like fish.
This would be kind of fun. I think if I were on the show, this first date feel, which it sounds like they probably give them like 10 or 15 minutes per person. And I think that's kind of fun. you know? Like,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like probably the first day is
pretty low
speed dating.
stakes. Yeah.
I think it's Stacy who describes Carter as fee fi fo fum, which is
Yeah. Stacey Leanne Rhymes.
yeah, that was your description of Stacy. is that
Look,
she
I
looks
really
like
liked
Leanne
Leanne Rhymes. I had a lot of exposure to her. You know?
And then you find out that
How do
everybody's first is Izzy. Like all the
Everybody likes Izzy.
everybody loves Izzy.
Yeah. Oh, I love Chris Fox though. Chris Fox.
We do like Chris Fox.
Yes. Yes, I wonder if they're going to scan down to their feet so I can see how many are wearing clear shoes.
You're just
That's what I'm here for.
you're just here for
Come for the pod,
for
stay
the-
for the clear shoes.
for the clear shoe count.
Yeah.
Our clear shoe count at the end of the day is 2 right now.
Two right now. But I definitely recall Lydia. No spoilers, but I do recall Lydia wearing clear shoes at some point too. I want to say jellies. We'll find out.
This is also they then have breakfast, and this was the point where during our watch through I commented on a little factoid that I was aware of, which is that the pods are a studio in a warehouse, and that they all then stay in hotel rooms where they're not allowed to use their cell phones the entire time. So when you see them having breakfast, they have just arrived on set,
Right.
and probably these are the first humans they've seen in like 12 hours, which is interesting. You know, it must fuck with your head to have to just kind of be alone and kind of cut off from the world a little bit. I mean,
Right,
presumably they
you
could
don't
just
have
watch
his
TV.
phone. Yeah.
But we all rely
I
on
don't
our
know
cell
what
phones.
would be worse. I don't know if it'd be worse to have to go and have like nothing to talk about but your experience in the pods, or if it'd be worse to be alone. Probably alone, but I'm extroverted, you know.
Yeah, I mean, as long as if they were allowed to bring in some books, watch some TV,
You got
probably
some
a
books.
good time.
What's wrong with books?
There's nothing wrong with book. I love a book. I love a good book. I love a good book.
Yeah. Here's Taylor talking about how she's grown and in the past she didn't truly love herself. And, I can tell she means it very sincerely, and I'm glad that she's been on that journey. But I remember being like, and also you're 25, right? Like,
Yeah, look, folks are young on
Yeah.
this show for the most part. I mean, we have a couple of mid 30s.
but
right?
I guess to be honest, I'm seeing a lot of myself in that, because I definitely remember being like 25 and be like, I know so much.
How do you think
And
this?
now being older and be like, I still don't know anything.
Yeah, definitely. We all find ourselves just thinking that we're going to become so wise
Yeah.
in our old age, and
I'm like the Socratic, truly wise person, is that I know enough to know I don't know.
you know that you don't know.
Yeah.
How do you think the show would be different if everybody was 50 plus? Do you think
I think there'd be a lot more, how does the pod work?
do you think anybody would buy into the experiment ultimately?
Yeah, sure, why not? I think that'd be a good idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there'd be a lot more of, can you hear me?
Mm. Come on, they're not 70 plus. It's 50 plus. They're still
50
spry.
plus is still pretty with it.
Jesus.
There'd be a lot more talk about Ovaltine.
Dude, what's your favorite laxative? What? No, that's not how.
Your
Come
AARP card.
Come on.
Yeah, no, I know. 50. To all of our 50 plus listeners, we love you and we welcome you on the show. And let us know what you prefer, LaCroix or Spindrift.
Way to buy them back. Way to bring them back. So our
More
next scene.
chemistry between JP and Taylor.
Yeah, so I think this is the first time the two of
most
them are
Texas
meeting.
couple in the world.
This might be the first time that the two of them are meeting.
They might be, and they're hitting it off.
And, we're finding out about
He's a
JP being a
firefighter.
firefighter, and we see more of his American flag socks.
These guys got some good USA values. She's a teacher. He's a firefighter. They're just doing it. They are meant to be.
Right. And he went to the school where she is currently a teacher.
Right.
Yeah.
Which that's a famous thing, right? I mean,
What?
no, just me. Okay, back to that. To all of our 50-plus listeners, comment if that was ever a fantasy for you.
You went to kindergarten.
It's important that our listeners know that having
We are
a microphone
comedians. We are comedians.
gives you a sense of invincibility about what you say. That's not always working in your favor. So this is what's happening. Oh, they like prime ribbed
Stuffed chicken. Oh, wait.
chicken Alfredo.
Way to buy it back again.
Yes. Yes. They're on fire, and he's a firefighter. Yeah, bread and cheese girl, you know, I am feeling you on that. It's like the best thing in the world.
Taylor's into bread and cheese. JP's gonna make some
Let's
grilled
move it
cheese.
along. We all know, okay, you guys are perfect for each other. All
Okay.
right, let's get to people that are more interesting. That's
You're really
invincibility is coming through.
you're passing some judgment already.
They're fine.
They
They're
are fine.
totally
They are fine.
They're
I have a
exactly
good
fine.
feeling about them.
Yeah.
So
Here's
then we are introduced
Uche.
to in more detail to Uche, and we find out that he is kind of taking this very seriously as like this experiment, and he's like, well, you know, I'm really interested in finding out exactly what you can get out of somebody when you don't see what they're like. He's very exacting in his words and his opinions. And the first sort of connection that we see with Uche is Uche and Miriam. And we kind of like hear about Miriam's background, which is that she studied medicine, or actually she wanted to study medicine and became a scientist, but that she kind of like lived in a lot of different countries.
Yeah, she seems
And
cool.
she definitely does seem cool. She works overseas in the Middle East, but I believe that she said that she was going to be moving back. So, you know, initially I thought that this was going to be a pretty strong connection.
Me too.
I guess we'll
We
see
don't
how
know.
it goes. We will.
Could be. She lives in River Oaks, which one of my all-time favorite romance novel series is set in River Oaks, so that was a big moment
Oh,
for
really?
me. Yes, it's
What
the
is it?
Travis series by Lisa Kleypas.
Oh yeah, this is the part where she says that she's like dermatology, selling skincare products, and she says offering a distinct composition.
Oh yeah, but this is where she's really vague and
Incredibly vague
for
about
no
what she
clear
does. What do you?
reason.
I still don't know what she does.
Yeah.
At the end of that,
yeah.
she, like, you know, you'd think that if you're doing a thing, like we're all
Right.
taught in our age to have an
It
elevator
seemed
pitch ready.
Sus. Yeah.
She seemed to not know how to describe what she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we leave them and we come to the meeting between Uche and Aaliyah.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just say, from a no spoilers perspective, I am equally invested in Miriam and Aaliyah.
Completely.
But there does appear to be some chemistry between Uche and Aaliyah.
Right, and we have, you know,
Yes.
Aaliyah again, a little bit international, lived in
ICU
Japan,
nurse.
and
Which,
you
know,
right,
thank goodness for you. Yeah.
right. I mean, I will say it continues to be the case. Everybody who's attending one of these shows is doing pretty well career-wise.
Yeah.
You never see anybody who's just kind of like, I'm between jobs right now.
Totally. I
I
think
figured I'd come on this show because I have nothing else to do. You know, everybody's look, and there's nothing wrong with being in between jobs. Certainly, I've been in between jobs, but yeah,
We don't know.
I would point out that nobody here seems to be in
you
that
can be a
state.
lawyer whether or not you're employed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think also they have like pretty cool careers. I think on one of the seasons someone was like a comedian or something, which
No.
you know, I can say because we also do that, but you
I
know,
would not call
it's
us
a tough
being
career.
I wouldn't say that anything that we're doing is a career.
Not until we get that sponsorship. We'll sponsor anything. I don't mean to limit it to drinks. We'll sponsor Golden Goblets.
Golden
We'll
Goblets.
sponsor
Brought to you by Golden Goblets. Do you want to hide what you're drinking? Golden
We got
Goblets.
the perfect thing for you.
Um,
Do you not want continuity issues messing up your editing? Try a
Golden
Golden
Goblet.
Gob.
Try a Golden Gob. I like that. A Golden Gob.
Yeah, so more just
We have a lot of.
debriefing.
We have some
We're gonna
B-roll.
scan ahead for y'all.
Some B-roll of everybody kind of debriefing, and then
Mm-hmm.
we get to see a little bit of
A little more Izzy in action.
Izzy connecting with Stacy.
Stacy.
And actually, we first see Stacy and Carter, and then we see, oh no, it was Izzy and Stacy, and then Carter and Renee.
Yes.
Which I do wonder how Carter and Renee will do in this show.
Sure do.
Sure do. And then we hear how Stacy is able to guess the size of people's shoe size.
Yeah, that's her hidden talent, which is pretty fun. I mean, it's a pretty fun random talent. I do really like Stacey's fashion game.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to see if she's wearing clear shoes. I'm sorry for y'all. But there we have the beginnings of two connections with Izzy between Jochny and Stacey Leanne Rhymes.
Jochny.
Yes. I think Johnny's wearing clear shoes again, but to be fair, it's just the same
I think
pair
it
of
might just be the
shoes.
same pair of shoes. Can you imagine being like, what pairs of shoes should I bring on the show? I know I'll bring my 2 pairs of clear shoes.
My two. Oh, they're not even.
They're not even clear.
They're just
They're not even clear.
espadrilles.
Mm.
All right, you got me, Johnny. There was just actual foot being shown that I thought at first glance was clear. Yeah.
And, we have some hot discussions, sex talk
Let's
between
talk about sex, baby.
Stacy and Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're talking about like
Turning the
kissing
lights
and
on or
having
off.
sex with the lights on or off. They make jokes about the clap on,
Clappings on and off.
booty claps, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So we're definitely seeing both of those connections being pretty strong. And then the very next thing is Chris Fox and Johnny.
Them also having a conversation about sex, but a decidedly less sexy conversation.
Yeah,
where they're talking about health class and sex.
Yeah, and then we
setting up.
We get into this like really kind of like dark story for Chris.
Oh yes, I do remember this.
Yeah, which I believe when we did the summary for episode 2, you thought that had happened in episode 2 because there was so much other trauma happening in episode 2. But
right.
we actually begin the sort of like opening up to past trauma in episode 1, and I got the vibe that like Chris and Johnny had gotten comfortable pretty quickly to the point where he was able to kind of open up about this. It was obviously like an incredibly like brave thing to like bring up, especially you're on a show, like you're being taped and this is going to be like put out there. So it's I give him credit for speaking out about something like this. And it's you can kind of see Chris just kind of falling for Johnny.
Yeah, he felt comfortable sharing with her.
In his little talking head, he's just like smiling ear to ear and just seems so I think he's adorable. I love his eyes.
He's adorable too, and I'm really, really sorry that happened to him.
Yeah.
But we, much like the editors of Love is Blind, will abruptly transition to a wildly different topic, which is the return of Lydia
and Izzy, and we know that Izzy is already kind of starting to make a connection in a different direction. Mm-hmm.
But Lydia is feeling like, you're my top dog.
Yeah.
Izzy?
Meanwhile,
Yes.
Izzy's kind of like, hey, just wanted to let you know you're not.
Right, and here's the thing, right? Is like, it's really hard to not have spoilers here, but this is an example of Lydia believing what she wants to hear. Because, again, we don't know what it's like to actually be in the room and to not be able to see Izzy. But
Right.
Izzy is pretty clear that he's not feeling Lydia to the same degree that
Yeah.
she is. And her takeaway is we're on the same page.
Yeah, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you tomorrow. And I don't see how you could pick up on such strong hesitation from somebody else and walk away with that. But again, I mean, we will just see that Lydia
Lydia
her story.
Lydia thinks very
Yes.
highly of herself. Well, I would put it that way.
I don't know if I'd put it that way. I think she's a not reliable narrator.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. But here we come to Uche and Aaliyah. There's chemistry happening.
And they're
They're enjoying each other.
talking about poetry.
Yes.
And they seem to be connecting pretty well.
Reconnecting with hobbies that they've lost in the grind of daily life.
Yeah.
Music, words, the heart singing.
Right, playing guitar, and they seem to be connecting on a lot of things that are that are like things that that they're passionate about and enjoy. So certainly getting a good, strong connection between them, and or at least the way it's presented. Obviously, that's something that we need to probably not even point out, but
remember.
Everything is editing, right? So
editing cannot be.
Yeah.
Much like Sex and the City was the fifth character, or New York was the fifth character. Editing is the third character in all of these dates.
In all of these scenes, exactly.
Yes. But that leaves on a good note. We get to a debrief back in their, I don't know, non-pod hang area.
In their little living rooms.
Bases.
Right.
And Taylor and JP are continuing to connect.
We're moving into the dressed down
Yeah.
stage where everybody's just kind of in sweats, and we get the introduction of Taylor's cool brown shoes, which I enjoy.
Yeah, that whole brown sweatsuit is like pretty on point.
I love the point in which JP yawns and Taylor's like, do a push-up, and he does an leg elevated push-up.
I think he also reveals in the scene that he's always got some sort of American flag paraphernalia on.
And graphic tees, gotta love a good graphic tee. And then we have Taylor attempting to doing
some push-ups.
Yeah.
Differently. And turning into twerking. Way to save it, girl. Way to save it. But, they are what they are.
Mm-hmm. And then they come up with the nicknames for each other. They're Sugar and Sugar Butt. So
that's pretty cute. Yeah. More debriefing. Yeah, here's where Lydia... Then we jump to Lydia telling Stacy that things are... All systems go with her and Izzy.
Yeah,
which
that
is
her and Izzy are
for
doing
sure
great.
Not what happened.
Clear shoes on Lydia. Clear shoes on Lydia.
Clear shoe watch.
Just wanted to point that out.
Mm-hmm. Lydia's still feeling super positive about Izzy until we get to their date.
And the crazy thing is that Izzy's like hand signals when he comes, I don't understand them.
Really? No, I think that's a clear like, oh shit.
You think that's a shit?
I think that's oh shit, coupled with that facial expression.
But it looks like he's grinning and doing a fist pump.
Oh my god, I do not read that way at all. I read that as like I'm all settled down, and then oh fuck.
Yeah, it's weird that at this point they're not told who they're meeting.
I know.
But we definitely see we see the first break. We see the ending of Lydia and Izzy, and it's hard because as far as we've been shown Lydia and Milton briefly meeting, but we haven't seen anything other than that. I think past that initial connection, I don't think we've seen any more. And then we see Aaliyah comforting Lydia, and just being being a good friend.
Yes. Yes.
And then we're back with Aaliyah and Uche, who seem to be getting closer a little bit.
The date.
Except we have this scene where...
And the origins of the title of this episode.
Right. Because we have Uche asking about Aaliyah's past. Cheating specifically. And despite the fact that Uche says that he's also been in that situation, but just a longer time ago, I guess.
2 years ago. That wasn't that long.
He's so disturbed by Aaliyah's more recent history of infidelity. And it is... his reaction is so nasty, kind of. Like...
Yes.
I mean, it's subdued.
Really harsh.
It's subdued, but judgmental and ugly. And it's just like, especially from like the way he's like kind of like exacting it is like he's just kind of making her feel bad by the end of this.
He's really grilling her.
It's not cool. It's not cool.
Which, you know, I mean, nothing is black and white, right?
Yeah.
And she just explained she fought for a long time for the relationship, expressed what she needed. It didn't happen. Yeah, okay, we should all just break up, but sometimes things are complicated. And Uche, first of all, is throwing rocks from his glass house where he also cheated.
Yeah.
But also just like, you know, what does that say? That you are going to kind of entice someone to opening up to you. And then when they do, you're going to make them feel terrible, you know? Like, if y'all have listened to our summaries of episodes 2 through 4, you will know I am not an Uche fan. And this is...
Hey, spoilers.
One of the scenes. I don't know. I guess it's a spoiler. It's a spoiler about how I feel. And how you will also feel.
I mean, how anybody might feel at the end of this scene.
Yeah. Yeah. Although, I mean, I can see some people totally relating with where Uche is coming from. I mean, especially like maybe you had that recently happen to you, that someone cheated on you and it feels really fresh. And, you know, I mean, there's like so many dynamics that we don't know about that could come into play. But just like the kind of, you know, what came up for me is this is a very black and white way of approaching things, and also he's being cruel. I thought he was cruel.
Yeah. I mean, there's also the scene where he's talking to JP and he says there's certain things that are negotiable and some things that are not negotiable, and he admits to not knowing what those things are going into this particular experiment. He's like, what is a deal breaker and what's not a deal breaker? What's being reasonable? These are things I should probably figure out. And I'm like, yeah, probably, maybe should have thought of these things before stepping into this entire experience.
He was optimistic.
Yeah.
He didn't think things would come up.
Yeah, he thought everything was going to be real surface, I guess. But
I think, like, he's getting counsel from JP about, like, you know, can you get over it? And Uche's considering it. Aaliyah is getting counsel from Lydia et al. About basically, like, you know, if he's going to judge you like that, you don't need him. And I will say I think that's the right call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very...
Yeah, we all are going to make mistakes in life. You know, we all are people, and people deserve compassion, and it's tough to...
And Lydia giving very Lydia giving very unbiased support about Uche hurting Aaliyah.
Yes, hard not to go spoilers here, but we will call it as her giving super positive support. Super nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she does ask who was it again? Was it Uche?
Oh, Uche?
Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
You gave him details, didn't you? So yeah, it's you know, we get a little bit of drama right at the top. We have Uche kind of seemingly regretting having reacted the way he did to a certain extent, but not that huge of an extent. And then on the other hand,
I don't read him as regretting. I think I read him as trying to identify whether he can get past this, but not reflecting on, did I make this person that I'm falling in love with feel like trash?
That's a very, very good point, which
Yeah.
is that he's considering how this is affecting him and his like
Right.
dating prospects,
It's all
but
about Uche.
he is not in any way considering the
Yes.
emotional impact that his words have had
Not
on
at all.
Alia.
Yeah. So it's part one of Ali not enjoying Uche.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that brings us to the end of the episode. Episode 1 of season 5. And
So there we go.
so far, look, at the end of this episode, all I knew was that I kind of got vibes off of JP and Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I had pretty good vibes off of Chris and Johnny.
And Johnny, yeah. I mean, we were starting to see like Johnny and Chris Fox too, or Izzy and.
Right. I'm just saying, like, who I'm shipping, to a certain extent, who I was kind of shipping at this point. I was kind of thinking that those were going to be the directions. And I like Milton, just period. I think he's adorable.
I think you identify with Milton.
I identify with Milton pretty hard, but yeah, I do. And so like I was just kind of like, I was happy for him being happy knowing Lydia, and at the same time I was like, I don't know if Lydia is a super great match for you, but I was excited for him to like to like someone. So
yeah,
he seemed to be connecting with her. So.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Well, so
we go.
We'll catch you.
New apps came out today, and we will record as many as we can. And...
Yeah. Depending on what order you're listening to this, I can't imagine this not being incredibly confusing.
No, we believe in you. We believe in you, the listener.
Next episode is episode 5. No, I mean, if you're listening to this first, if you somehow found our podcast now and are listening to this first, awesome.
First of all, we love you.
We love you. That's great. You're going to now listen to episode 2, where we will talk about a technical difficulty.
Yes.
That's because that was recorded
a
week ago. That was recorded a week ago. So... yes, none of this will make
and
sense.
Also,
ignore our intros.
Don't forget to rate us 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening to. And if you own a company, feel free to sponsor us.
if you own a company,
you are the CEO.
We're taking CEO only, so only CEOs are allowed to reach out to us and just say hi. I
would do anyone in C-suite.
Perfect. Yeah. CEO of LaCroix, CEO of Spindrift. Let's see you. Let's see who gets to us first.
Yeah. that
sparkling
water. The race
water,
is on.
That's what we're going for. I mean, look, if we're really pushing it, Coke Zero. Do we have Coca-Cola?
I also do. I not only do we not yet have Coke Zero as a sponsor, but I have a great story about Coke Zero that if they sponsor us,
you will tell that story.
We'll tell that story. And
what
if they
a
don't,
tease.
What a
tease.
What a tease.
What a tease. Okay.
All right. We will see you next time.
All right,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.